I used to be one of those people who rolled their eyes at the phrase emotional cheating. It sounded dramatic, made up, something insecure people said when they were jealous. To me, cheating meant one thing: you slept with someone else. That was the line. Everything else was just talking. Harmless, friendly, innocent. At least that's what I told myself. And now my marriage is over because of it. My husband and I were married for 6 years, together for almost 10. No kids yet, but we were trying soon. We had a house in the suburbs, a dog that shed on everything, matching coffee mugs we bought on our honeymoon. The kind of life people call stable. He was a good man. Steady, calm, predictable. Back then, I would have said that, like it was a complaint. Now I'd give anything to have it back. Nothing was technically wrong with our marriage. No abuse, no screaming fights, no betrayal. Just routine. Wake up, work, dinner, TV, bed, repeat. Somewhere around year 5, I started feeling invisible. Not because of anything he did specifically. He still kissed me goodbye every morning. Still asked about my day. Still folded laundry without being asked. But there was no spark anymore. No tension. No butterflies. Just comfort. And I didn't realize at the time how dangerous boredom can be when you're the kind of person who craves validation. That's when Daniel got hired at my office. Daniel was the opposite of my husband. Loud, charismatic, funny in an effortless way. The kind of guy who made every story sound interesting. The kind of guy everyone gravitated toward at lunch. He noticed me immediately. Not in a creepy way. Just attention. "Hey, you're hilarious. Why don't you sit with us? You always have the best takes. Your husband's lucky. You're fun." Little comments, tiny hits of dopamine. And I didn't even realize how starved I was for that kind of attention until I started craving it. At first, it was just work stuff. Inside jokes during meetings, grabbing coffee together, complaining about management, normal coworker things, totally harmless. Then we started texting. Still harmless. Memes, complaints about work. Can you believe what happened today? My husband didn't care. Why would he? It was just a coworker. I even talked about Daniel openly at home. Daniel said the funniest thing today. Looking back, that part almost feels cruel, because it made me feel innocent. Like if I wasn't hiding him, I couldn't be doing anything wrong. But slowly the tone shifted. Texts got later. More personal. We stopped talking about work and started talking about life. Our relationships, our frustrations, our dreams. Daniel told me things he said he didn't tell anyone else. And instead of seeing that as a red flag, I felt special. Chosen. One night, around midnight, my phone buzzed. "Daniel, you ever feel like you settled too early in life?" My heart jumped. I shouldn't have answered. I did anyway. We talked for 3 hours. About regrets, about what ifs, about who we might have been if we'd made different choices. I was lying next to my sleeping husband while texting another man about the emotional gaps in my marriage. And somehow I still told myself it wasn't cheating, because we weren't touching. That became my rule. My justification. My shield. It's not physical, so it doesn't count. Whenever guilt bubbled up, I repeated that sentence like a prayer. He's just a friend. It's just talking. Nothing is actually happening. But something was happening. I started smiling at my phone. Started angling the screen away. Started deleting certain messages because they'd look bad out of context. I changed his contact name to just an initial. If my husband walked into the room, I'd flip the phone face down automatically. Tiny, subconscious tells. If you have to hide it, it's probably wrong. I knew that. I just didn't want to admit it. Daniel started complimenting me more. "You deserve more appreciation. I can't believe your husband doesn't take you out more. If I were him, I'd show you off constantly." It felt good. Too good. And instead of protecting my marriage, I leaned into it. I told Daniel things I hadn't even told my husband. My fears, my insecurities, my doubts about the future. All the emotional intimacy that should have belonged to my marriage, I handed to someone else. I stopped trying at home, stopped initiating date nights, stopped opening up, because I was already getting my emotional needs met somewhere else. But again, we never slept together, so in my mind, I was still the good wife. Then came the night everything blew up. We were on the couch. My husband was scrolling through Netflix. I was texting Daniel under a blanket like a teenager hiding from her parents. Daniel sent, "I wish you were here instead of him." My stomach flipped. Before I could respond, my husband said, "Hey, can I see that video you were laughing at earlier?" And without thinking, he reached for my phone. The pure, instant panic that shot through me told the truth before anything else did. I yanked it back. Too fast. Too defensive. Too obvious. He just looked at me. Not angry. Confused. "Why are you acting weird?" "Nothing, it's just work stuff." He held his hand out. "Let me see." I could have refused. Could have lied. Could have deleted everything. Instead, for some reason, I handed it over. Maybe part of me was tired of hiding. He didn't even scroll much. He didn't have to. The messages were right there. Paragraphs, inside jokes, heart emojis, late-night confessions, things I hadn't said to him in years. I watched his face change. Not rage, not shouting. Just collapse. Like something inside him quietly broke. "How long?" he asked. "Nothing happened," I said immediately. "It's not what you think." He kept scrolling. "You told him things you've never told me." "It's just talking." "You delete messages." "Because they look bad." "Because they are bad," he said softly. That softness hurt more than yelling would have. "I didn't cheat," I insisted. And he said something I'll never forget. "You gave another man everything that was supposed to be mine." I didn't have a comeback for that. He didn't scream, didn't throw anything, didn't call me names. He just got up and went to the guest room and closed the door. That quiet was worse than any fight we'd ever had. The next few weeks were torture. He wasn't cruel, just distant, polite, like a roommate. Like I was someone he used to know. I kept trying to explain. It wasn't physical. It didn't mean anything. I love you, not him. And every time he just nodded like he was listening to weather reports. Finally, one night at the kitchen table, he said, "I don't think you cheated physically." I felt relief for half a second. Then he added, "But you replaced me emotionally, and I can't unfeel that." 2 months later, he filed for divorce. No drama, no public meltdown, just paperwork, signed and done. I kept waiting for him to miss me, to call, to hesitate. He didn't. And here's the part that kills me. He didn't fall apart. I did. He started going to the gym, cooking healthier, hanging out with friends more, taking trips. He looked lighter, like he'd dropped a weight. Meanwhile, I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, checked his social media obsessively like a crazy person. Then I saw her, a new girl, smiling next to him in photos, and the look on his face. I hadn't seen him smile like that in years, not because he stopped loving me, but because I stopped choosing him. That's the thing no one tells you about emotional cheating. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts. You don't cross one big line. You cross 100 tiny ones. And by the time you realize what you've done, the connection is already gone. Daniel, we never even dated. The fantasy died the second my marriage did. Turns out he was only exciting because he wasn't real life. My husband was real life. And I traded him for notifications and compliments. If you're texting someone things you wouldn't say in front of your partner, if you're hiding messages, If someone else knows you more intimately than your spouse, it counts, even if you never touch. Trust me, because the worst part isn't losing them. It's watching them become happier without you.